Hi, everyone. Let me know if you can hear me because I literally cannot hear myself. I've been trying. How's everyone doing? We'll just wait a minute. Let's see if it works. How is everyone this Tuesday? So this book dropped. Let me share. My little drinky. So James Patterson, you're not able to see the whole thing. Hold on. Him and Vicky Ward just released this book. Let me know if you can hear me because I can't hear myself and it really matters. Hi. Hi, Crystal. How are you? Can you guys hear me? Let me know. I feel like the audio is just like, hi, sweet and salty. I don't know if anyone can hear me. So if you can hear me, we're going to be doing this in a few parts. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay. And I'm not going to be able to look at chat that much. So I'm going to share with the projector here. So like there'll be parts you can't necessarily see. Is it better? Should I just lean into it more? So awkward. Okay. How are you guys? It's 9 a.m. here. Oh, Gina P, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Yes. I will read for you guys and you guys can just do whatever you want to do today. And I don't know why I'm a circle. I'm literally a circle. I have no idea. I did this virtual background. It's a picture I took, and it made me a circle on YouTube. Let me know if for any reason. Okay, so anyways, let's see this cover. So it says, based on hundreds of exclusive interviews, the definitive account of the murders of 4 unforgettable college students by a cold-blooded killer. Hi, Mystery Maverick. Hi, Carson. Oh my goodness, everybody's here. Jelly Bean, hi. Hi, everybody. Okay. I'm probably going to take myself, well, I don't know if I should take myself off because I think YouTube frowns on that. They want you on. They want you up full face in this. Hi. So, it's a first edition. I'm a book lover. We're going to take the dust jacket off. And hopefully the internet connection works out perfectly. And I'll share as much as I can, like with the pages. It's kind of hard because my Hector, I don't know what we'll call my Hector, right? Ella, is she here? Doesn't do like the whole, well, it could, but I just have to move it around. And I think I'm going to be like entirely distracted to do that. It'll be an interesting read, like a sideways read. It's going to be great. So let's start. And I know I'm good for at least 2 hours and we'll go from there. Thank you, Quietly, DG. If I miss you guys because I'm not in chat and I can't see chat because I'm reading, at the end, I'll get to you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Hi, Moonvale. Hi, Megan R. Hi, Sunny Days. Okay, ready? So it starts by saying, I couldn't wrap my head around. There can't be this kind of evil in our midst. I just couldn't bring myself to do it, to think that. There's no way. This person can't be amongst us. Evan Ellis, Morning News from Pullman Radio in Washington. So there's an author's note, as usually there are in books like this. And as we know, James Patterson is like a really big deal when it comes to books. And I'll read a little bit of it, but most of it I'm just going to probably skip. But It's not that long, but I'll read like the important parts. This book reads like fiction, but none of it is made up. Every detail in these pages has been meticulously sourced through interviews or has been factually documented. Actually, I'm going to take myself off because it's entirely distracting to read like that. Let me see if that works. Perfect. Oh my God, you guys are going to get such a better read if this chair stops freaking, because I could actually go like this and be in the mic at the same time. Okay. Brian Kohberger has been charged with murdering Ethan Chapin, Zana Kernodle, Maddie Mogen, and Kaye Goncalves, who became known as the Idaho 4 on November 13th, 2022. His criminal trial is set to begin in August 2025. Of course, he's innocent until proven guilty. The book does not offer a view on what the verdict will be. Rather, it is a story of 4 tragic murders and the impact of the crimes on a small American town. This book could not have been written without the help and support of hundreds of people, including the 320 individually interviewed so many times by Vicky Ward. We'd especially like to thank the victims' friends and family for giving us so much precious time, hospitality, and insight. The Chapin family and Hunter Johnson for sharing about Ethan, the Goncalves family for sharing about Kaye, Ben Mogen and Kim Chile, aka Deedle, for sharing about Maddie, and the Allant family, Karen, Matt, and Emily, Zana's best friend, for sharing so much about Zana. Moscow, Idaho Police Chief James Fry, now retired, generously gave his time and shared his insights on dealing with the most horrific crime of his career amid worldwide media scrutiny. Importantly, he did this without discussion of any of the specifics of this case and investigation, per the gag order put in place by a local judge. The supporting details are drawn from public documents, including court records, and from elsewhere. And then he goes on to thank a bunch of people, and then thanks a few other people. And I'm just going to skip to this. Here's a story of the Idaho 4, their young lives cut short by unspeakable violence. It's an exploration of a complex criminal investigation and a timeless portrait of the worst and best in us. James Patterson and Vicky Ward. Here we go, guys. It's like a 400, like just to give context, it's 400, I think they said 22 pages. Let me just, no. Well, like 33, but that's the acknowledgments. So I guess we could say 431 pages, but kind of big written. Okay. Wenatchee, Washington, November 13th, 2022. Chief, we've got a bad situation. James Fry, the God-fearing chief of the Moscow, Idaho Police Department, picks up the call from Captain Tyson Barrett, informing him of a mass homicide, 4 murders at 1122 King Road. Barrett has the inside track. Ava and Emily, 2 of the kids in the group sitting outside the rental house, work at the football stadium. The Kibbe Dome is under Barrett's purview, so he knows them well. It's Sunday, and Fry is about an hour into the 4-hour drive back miles east. It's Sunday, and Fry is about an hour into the 4-hour drive back from an overnight visit with a friend in Wenatchee, Washington, 150 miles east of Seattle. Whatever has happened, whoever the victims are, it already feels too close for comfort. In the passenger seat listening is Julie Fry, the chief's whip-smart wife of 30-odd years, also happens to be the newly elected Latah County clerk. Chief Fry will later say he should have let Julie drive. But now it's all he can do to absorb what Barrett tells him. 4 young people, likely IU students, stabbed in their bedrooms, in their beds, in a residence that's part of a large cluster of student housing right on the campus line, and no one heard a thing. Fry's put in 30 years on the force. The common assumption about small town police chiefs is that they have no experience with murder. But this is not Fry's first brush with homicides on campus. In 2007, when he was still a sergeant, he worked on 3 homicides in just 1 year. One involved a University of Idaho student, David Boss, who was shot by a former classmate. In 2011, as a lieutenant, Fry oversaw the investigation of another university tragedy. That summer, psychology professor Ernesto Bustamante, who had a history of mental illness, fatally shot Katie Benoit, a 22-year-old graduate student he'd previously dated outside her home, then later turned the gun on himself. Even so, Fry already knows that this one is different. He knows this is going to test the department in an unprecedented way. He also knows that this is too big for Moscow to handle without help. In a rural area like this, there's a general view that it's all hands on deck. He's going to need support from the state, probably the FBI. But first things first. It's not his job to run point to the scene of a crime. When he was a detective, which was not so long ago, he headed up investigations, but now he's chief, and chiefs who get in the way of their teams can really screw things up. His role today is to stay in close touch with his officers, provide whatever support is needed. Part of leading, Fry believes, is trusting and delegating. But Fry knows that when adrenaline is running high, anyone can forget things. So he rattles off a punch list to Tyson Barrett, realizing from experience that his captain is out in front of him. "Have you reached Bill?" he asks, referring to veteran county prosecutor Bill Thompson, who has never lost a case. In their parallel careers, the chief and the prosecutor have worked every crime scene together. They meet every single day at 8 a.m. Fry's belief in Thompson, the only prosecutor in Idaho who has ever won a murder conviction in the absence of a dead body, is unwavering. On his way, Barrett says. Forensics? The 2 forensics officer, Lawrence Mowry and Andrew Fox, are Fry's appointments. State? A scene as big as this needs help from Idaho State Police forensics team based in Lewiston, about 30 miles south of Moscow. On their way. Who have you got there? Barrett tells him that Mitch Nunez was the first officer on scene. And at this, Fry blanches. "My heart broke," he said later. His 37-man department runs like a family. 22-year-old Nunez is like a son to Fry, a baby. He knows that his youngest officer will never be able to erase from his mind the horrific crime scene that he's just witnessed, that he will be forever altered, and Fry will need to find Nunez and his wife the resources to cope with the trauma. Mental health is not something that was discussed when Fry was a rookie, and he believes that was a mistake. PTSD, according to Fry's longtime ride-along partner and best friend, Paul Kitlotsky, lingers as he sorts through memories that won't dim. Fry is going to take care of his young officers and their families, make sure they feel supported. Speaking of, has the university been notified? Affirmative. Where's Brett Payne? 2 months prior, Fry promoted Brett Payne, a 32-year-old cop and military veteran whom he hired in 2020, to detective corporal, a new position in the department that Fry created for a reason. Ordinarily, detectives are the higher rank of the sergeant, but Fry had been faced with a specific set of challenges. He had to run a small department at a time when applications for jobs in law enforcement were dwindling. This was shortly after the officer in Minnesota had been convicted in the death of George Floyd. The chief decided to free up some of the sergeants to learn the administrative part of police work, how to actually run a department, pay bills, budget, and so forth. Which means today, Fry realizes, Payne will be the one to lead this investigation, organize the department into teams. Talk about diving into the deep end. Tyson responds that yes, Payne is on his way to the crime scene. He'll get there around 4 p.m., which will be ahead of Fry. He presses harder on the gas and dials a number. Rand, he says into the phone to Dr. Rand Walker, a local therapist who has counseled his officers before. I need you to be on standby. The rest of the drive is a blur of statico calls. Chief Gary Jenkins, the head of the Washington State University Police over in Pullman and former chief to the Pullman PD, phones. Do you need backup from us? Jenkins asks. The two departments often tag team. Moscow's last convicted murderer, John Lee, had in fact been caught on the run by the officers in Pullman. But Fry is cautious. In 2015, they knew who the murderer was. This time, they have no idea. Fry is aware of the importance of locking down an investigation, keeping information on the need-to-know basis to stop leaks that could jeopardize it. He and Bill Thompson are completely in sync on this. Thompson never speaks to anyone about an investigation until he gets to sentencing, and even then he keeps it short. And there are too many unanswered questions right now. It's not safe or prudent for Fry to involve another team. Not yet, Fry tells Jenkins. I'll keep you posted. Barrett shared with Fry that a knife sheath was found in one of the rooms. It's imperative this doesn't get out. Somewhere there's a maniacal murderer on the loose who is almost certainly watching their every move. Who in God's name could have done this? Fry wonders. And again, he presses harder on the gas. One good thing about being the police chief is that no one is likely to arrest him for speeding. Chapter 2. 1 hour later. The notifications about death are the thing Chief Fry dreads most in this job. It takes seconds to give or receive the news. Yet, the needlessness lost lives haunt his dreams. He can recall each and every one as he hurtles towards Moscow. Take January 22nd, 2013, nearly a decade ago. He'd been a lieutenant. A couple had shown up at the station wondering anxiously where their son was. A Latah County Sheriff's deputy had found a body the next day and called it in. The corpse had been on the ground for 2 days. It looked like the kid, a college student named Joseph Wetterick, had frozen to death. He'd been intoxicated. The department spread out, trying to piece together what had happened, and Fry became the point person for the kid's parents. Notifying parents of their loss of their child is something you never get better at. And tragically, student deaths are not that unusual. There's one practically every semester. Typically, it's the result of a car accident that occurs during the long drive most of the kids take to cross the state in treacherous conditions in winter. One year, Fry taught a class up at the university, and right before Thanksgiving break, he told his students, remember, drive extra slow. Your parents don't care what time you get there. They just want you there. Fry may be a cop, but he's also a husband and the father of 4 kids, 3 daughters and a son. I understand what that's like as a parent to drop a child off, he'll say. He knows that parents expect their kids to be safe in college. And he also knows that sometimes they aren't. The tragedy with young Joseph Wederick was a double whammy for Fry because it seemed like no one in the community helped the kid out by notifying law enforcement that he was in trouble on the night he ended up dying. His body was found 2 miles from town. 2 miles. Fry knew that someone must have spotted the drunk kid while he was walking. Sure enough, when all the details about Wederick's final night were in, and when Fry put together a map for Joseph's mom, Michelle, it emerged that Joseph walked a circuitous 8 miles before lying down to rest in one last time. Various people in the town did see the kid. They could have helped him by calling the MPD when he stumbled into their backyards, or in a few cases, into their homes. Instead, they just watched him or sent him on his way. One lady later said, I just didn't want to get him in trouble. Joseph would have been in trouble. He would have been locked up and most likely given a criminal citation, but nothing more. Fry tells everyone he works with that the key to serving the community is respect, respect, respect. You ever see the movie Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze? He'll ask people. If they haven't, he tells them to watch it. The movie's message is his message, the one he instills in his officers. Be nice, be nice, be nice. And until it's time not to be nice, be nice. If you treat people with respect, even when you arrest them, they'll thank you. But in 2013, the town's residents seemed unaware of the chief's message of police compassion. The tragic story of Joseph Wederick that he put together went something like this. On January 20th at 2 a.m., a Moscow woman hears a noise downstairs. She goes to take a look. Is it an animal? It's a human, a drunk human. An 18-year-old man, clearly disorientated, smelling of alcohol, his blonde hair disheveled, is stumbling around in her basement. She doesn't know how he got in. He's lost. Safe, safe, he mumbles to her. It's clear he wants to stay. Sleep it off. It's black outside. Snow drifts piled high. But students often wander drunk, a nuisance with their noise and their parties. Joseph shuffles off down Highland Drive. 3 a.m. Bang, bang. He's knocking on another door. This one on Mountain View Road. The owner looks through the window. Go home, he says to the kid. Again, there's no call to the police. The town folk think they're protecting him. It's a mistake. 4 a.m., bang, bang. A third homeowner looks out the window, shrugs, and goes back to bed. Joseph wanders away. He's trying to get back to his dorm, but has no idea where he's headed. Somehow, he ends up near Paradise Creek, 2 miles north of the city. Joseph trips and falls. He hits the frozen creek. His body sinks like a dead weight through the ice into the frigid water. He fights. He climbs out. He crawls under a nearby bridge and rests and rests. His body is discovered by police 2 days later. It emerges that Joseph Wederick had drunk too much at Saturday night party given by the Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity. Fry doesn't like to toot his own horn, but he reckons that since he became chief in 2016, attitudes in town have changed about a lot of things, including over-the-top college drinking. He isn't stupid enough to think you can stop college kids from drinking, but he believes you can take steps to keep it in check. You can, for example, go, as he does, to Rousers, look at the keg list, and figure out where each keg is. If a keg is somewhere it isn't supposed to be, if, say, it's with a group of underage kids, you take it away nicely. But that's what you do. One time, Fry and the guides took 42 cases of Keystone Light away from a fraternity party because they saw a 19-year-old pushing the cart. So yes, you've got to teach them that the law is the law. Excuse me. If Fry and his ride-along partner, Captain Paul Kitowski, had been called to deal with drunk Joseph Wederick, sure, they might have locked him up, but he'd still had his life ahead of him. Fry is upset that people in Moscow don't get that. What else can we do? He asked Paul one time. 1 second, sorry. 1 second. You guys, I'm live. Can we just have it a little quiet? Thank you. Sorry, I needed a cough. Okay, where were we? Okay, Fry is upset that people in Moscow still don't get that. What else can we do? He asked Paul one time. Keep going, his friend and colleague said. Don't give up. The two guys had looked at the framed quotation on Fry's wall. The chief knows them by heart, but he still reads them every day. The first is from Philippines 4:7. And the peace of God, which passeth, why can't I say the word, which passeth? Let me start over. And the peace of God, which passeth all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds. The second is from Theodore Roosevelt's speech on citizenship. In April 1910, after finishing his second term as U.S. president, Roosevelt delivered The Man in the Arena speech at the Sorbonne in Paris. He delivered The Man in the Arena. He was on his way to Oslo, Norway, to officially accept the Nobel Peace Prize, which he had been awarded in 1906 for his efforts to end the Russo-Japanese War. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Fry thinks about those words, who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. So, as the chief reaches the city's outskirts, he takes a deep breath. He knows that with this startlingly awful and strange case, now more than ever, he needs to get a critical message through. The Moscow police, on his watch, are to be trusted, not feared. Chapter 3, 1122 King Road, Moscow, Idaho, 2 hours earlier. Officer Nunez radios the police station and reaches Sergeant Shane Gunderson, who's been taking advantage of his quiet Sunday morning shift to plan a hiking trip to Mount Bora on the other side of the state. This is serious, Nunez tells him. Gunderson snaps out of his boredom, leaps into his car, and heads for King Road. As he rides, he phones Tyson Barrett. His boss, the commander of the campus police, is on call that day. Barrett says he's already sent patrol officers Smith and Warner to join Nunez, who's taping off the area around the house. Barrett knows what to do, and not just because he's an experienced cop. He was a sergeant assigned to Moscow's previous famous homicide, the case of John Lee, a mentally ill man who went on a shooting spree in January 2015, killing 3 people, including his adoptive mother. But Barrett has another advantage here. He's a vandal. The name of the school's athletic teams, a nickname that comes from a long ago U of I basketball team said to have vandalized its opponents. He knows the school, the students, the faculty, the administration, the culture. He's been attached to the university on and off for years. He worked it years ago as a sergeant. His daughter is a student. When Barrett arrives, he recognizes Ava Wood, a neighbor who rushed out with blankets for the group of students sitting in front of the house at 1122 King. "Do you know the people inside, Ava?" Barrett asks. She nods, and Barrett looks at her, eyes filled with sympathy. And then he turns to the front door. All those years of training and experience kick in. He runs through his checklist. 1. Clear the residence and run tape around the perimeter. Check. 2. Call for medical assistance if needed. There is no need. 3. Secure the scene. Check. Nunez has put up the tape. Barrett assigns 1 cop to watch the front of the house, another the back. 4. Call in the detectives who will lead the investigation. There will be 5 detectives. John Lawrence, who is about to retire, Danny Vargas, Brett Payne, Detective Corporal, and forensic detectives Lawrence Mowry and Andrew Fox. Barrett knows it's important to call only those cops who will play essential roles. With each body comes a risk of contaminating evidence. 5. Notify the police chief. 6. Notify the county prosecutor, Bill Thompson. 7. Notify other Moscow PD captains, Anthony Gallinger and Roger Lanier. 8. Call the sergeant running the Idaho State Police detectives. Moscow is going to need the state police's forensic team at a bare minimum. This is too big for the MPD to handle alone. State has a forensics lab. Moscow does not. 9. Call the university's president, provost, and dean of students. 10. Call the coroner, but not until all the evidence is collected. Someone might accidentally move something and contaminate the scene. 11. Notify the public if there's a threat. Barrett knows, not just from his years of experience, but from common sense, that the probability of some random stranger knifing 4 people to death in their bedrooms is almost nil. There's a connection somewhere between whoever did this and at least one of the victims. There always is. That's what the police are going to have to find. The patrol officers correctly begin with the people in front of them. Why is this young student, Hunter Johnson, holding a kitchen knife? What happened here? Hunter sits with the patrol officers and tells them what happened as best as he knows it. They let him go. Sirens start to wail. But the first emergency vehicle that arrives is unnecessary. It's the volunteer ambulance, the medical responders to the 911 call. It stays a couple of minutes, then, at the cop's request, leaves. It's much too late for anyone to need medical attention. Part 1, the innocents. Chapter 1. Moscow, Idaho, August 18th, 2019. It's bid day at the University of Idaho. Kaye Goncalves and Maddie Mogan chose the University of Idaho precisely because of its strong Greek life. Nearly 1/4 of UI students take part. The two look alike, blonde. Maddie's a natural, Kaylee's dyed. Best friends, both freshmen, take their seats in the auditorium. They glance nervously at the throng of women packed around them like canned sardines, all clutching envelopes. Inside each is the name of the sorority the student has gotten into. Kaylee's and Maddie's top choice is Alpha Phi, or A Phi, as it's known, pronounced APhi. As one of the members described the sorority, it's a place, quote, for blondes, for homecoming queens, for popular girls, leaders, girls who like to party and get ready to party. Last night, to help the newcomers make up their minds, the sorority invited the women to so-called preference ceremonies at the top of their choices. At AFI, one of the sisters told a sad but moving story. Her boyfriend, a football star, had tragically lost his battle with cancer, and the support of the house was what got her through. Both girls know that Greek life isn't just about parties. The friendships, the networks, and bonds formed in each house are an important factor in most students' social and later professional lives. Maddie wants a career in marketing, Kaye in IT. Kaye and Maddie drove to campus together and spent the past few days rushing together, and the past 6 years doing everything together. Maddie has been entering Kaylee's house without knocking, just like she's part of Kaylee's noisy, happy, hectic, vast family since they were both 12 years old. Maddie is more of a girly girl than Kaye, who used to be a bit of a tomboy. Kaye is more of an extrovert than Maddie, and maybe more of a hustler. She's had to be to get what she wants. Given the size of the Goncalves household, Kaye has 4 siblings. Maddie is the only child, and her home, by contrast, is quiet. Since their early teens, these two shared summer boat rides on the lake in Coeur d'Alene, winter bathing in the nearby hot springs, trips to Seattle, beach vacations in Puerto Rico and Grand Cayman, and in Hawaii. They've never spent more than a few days apart. Maddie recently heard that UI sororities like to separate girls who know each other well. Apparently, the point of Greek life is to make new friends, not cling to old ones. Here in the auditorium, Maddie waits to learn if Aphie will choose Kaye over her. It's a daunting moment as the clock ticks on. 20 seconds to go. The hundreds of freshman girls in the auditorium count down together. 10 seconds, 5 seconds, 4, 3, 2. Maddie and Kaye tear open their envelopes. There are screams all around, women sobbing, running. Maddie's eyes blur with tears. She didn't make Aphie, and Kaye did. The slip of paper in Maddie's envelope tells her she's been picked by Pi Beta Phi, known as Pi Phi, pronounced Pi Phi, a perfectly respectable sorority, but not generally considered a top house on campus. Within seconds, there's a stampede for the exit as the women race out to the lawn to find their new sorority sisters, standing out there under signs. Here now isn't the time to say goodbye, but for Maddie and Kaye, it's an ending, and it's a beginning. Chapter 2. Moscow, Idaho, August 20th, 2019. Maddie's a talented photographer, and she's done some modeling. So she knows how to make her Instagram seductive. The Pivy sisters want to build up their house's reputation so they can be more competitive with the top ones like Aphie. Maddie does her part, creating a scene befitting a Disney movie. 7 beaming modern-day Cinderellas, Maddie among them, pose on the steps of the Pivy sorority house in matching white tank tops. The 4 older sisters have on matching pink miniskirts, and the 3 younger girls wearing matching denim shorts. The archway behind them is covered with pink balloons. Maddie captions it, "I ran home. Hashtag Pi Beta Phi UI." Kaylee comments, "That's my best friend. I love you so much. For life, baby." Of course, Kaylee knows how disappointed Maddie is, and she hurts because Maddie is hurting. Showing wisdom beyond their years, the friends accept the idea that widening their respective social circles will be good for both of them. In other words, they'll play the game of Greek life. Kaylee can't fail to express her own unmitigated joy about her acceptance to Aphie, which is why she posts a photo of herself smiling with 2 new sorority sisters in front of the Alpha Phi house with the caption, "What Flowrider said, hashtag welcome to my house," referencing the rapper's 2015 hit, My House. Maddie comments, "So happy for you, bestie." Their public Instagrams, TikToks, and Snapchats tell the story of their growing closeness with their new sisters and new best friends. Privately, Kaylee and Maddie remain as tight as ever, quietly maintaining their lifelong bond in real life, IRL, as the expression goes. Maddie's posts reflect her new friendship with sorority sisters Sophia Whitehead, who is in the year above her, and Ashlyn Couch, who, like her, is from Coeur d'Alene. Kaylee's posts show weekend activities, attending U of I football games on campus, traveling to Seattle with her Aphie sorority sisters, and nuzzling her boyfriend Jack Decor. Why they don't post what they don't post is pictures with each other. The 2 keep up this illusion of separateness well into the next semester, when the balloon of unreality surrounding them is abruptly pierced. In March 2020, COVID strikes. Chapter 3, Rathdrum, Idaho, March 2020. At the end of spring break, Kaylee and Maddie both receive emails containing the same instructions. Don't come back to the sorority house. School is going remote. The girls are home in Rathdrum and the neighboring town of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And for them, it's like old times. They have each other, and given the stress surrounding the virus, they decide the pretense, even on social media, is no longer important. The day after Maddie's birthday, May 25th, Maddie May Day, Kaylee posts the first Instagram photo of the 2 best friends together since their arrival in UI. The 2 of them are hugging, wearing pretty summer dresses, standing by the lake. "The easiest person to celebrate," Kaylee writes. "Here's to you, my sweet Maddie May." Later that summer, Kaylee gives Maddie a shout out, at Maddie Mogan. "Thanks for always being my personal photographer." It's a source of pride to Kaylee that Maddie has been asked to run the official Instagram account for the Pi Phis. It's a huge honor. It's also an irony. Maddie, initially disappointed to be joining Pi Beta Phi, is now responsible for attracting recruits and making the house look as appealing as Alpha Phi. She's good at this. Thanks to her pretty pictures, despite the isolation of COVID, the number of freshman women interested in joining is climbing. Few people in the Goncalves family think COVID is the big deal that UI administrators believe it is. The Goncalves children have been raised not to trust the government or institutions. They're libertarians. They live to bet on themselves. Kaylee's dad, Steve, works in IT at the hospital in Coeur d'Alene, an hour and a half north of Moscow. Over dinners at home, he tells his family that the only people who are dying in the hospital are those who have pre-existing conditions. Mostly they're obese. He thinks the university is making a mistake not letting the kids back. So does Kaylee. As the weeks stretch on, her frustration grows. Paying to take college classes over Zoom is bad enough, but bills keep coming in from AFI. She's livid that she and her AFI sisters are paying live-in dues for the house they're not allowed to occupy. Following orders unquestioningly is not a Goncalves thing to do. So Kaylee queries the chapter president. Why are they paying for nothing? If they can't get some of that money returned, Kaylee says she doesn't want to go back to the house in the fall. The rules are the rules, the president tells Kaylee. The house won't negotiate, especially with a new sister. None of the sisters can move out of the house until they're juniors and have accumulated a certain number of service points. Even then, the AFI admins add another hurdle. Sisters need to pay for both living in and living out. So in late August, Kaylee struck returning to the AFI house and its litany of COVID health and safety protocols. Kaylee doesn't want to do the physical distancing or the regular testing or mandatory quarantine procedures. Not any of it. But she's Kaylee, so she faces the reset head on, posting, "Now let's get back to it." This year, the girls who are rushing sororities have their smiles hidden behind masks. Coffee meetings are held on Zoom. Hugging is not allowed. Still, Kaylee takes a liking to two of the freshmen. Emma Tiger, a beautiful brunette from Vancouver, Washington, whose soccer career was sidelined by an injury, and Jaden Anderson, a blonde from Spokane. One of the most important rituals among sorority sisters is choosing bigs and littles. A big mentor has chosen little through college, academically and socially. Emma and Jaden are eager to become Kaylee's littles, partly because of her extraordinary enthusiasm and can-do attitude. When Kaylee hears there might be an in-house quarantine one weekend, she whisks Emma and Jaden off home with her to Coeur d'Alene. She takes them shopping, to concerts, for drinks, to coffee. She makes them baskets of goodies. She also is a girl you don't mess with, Emma recalls. Nobody would ever say a bad word about me in front of her because she was not okay with it. If there was some guy that was being rude to me at a party, Kaylee was the first one to say something to him. On Big Little Night in October, Kaylee surprises the two by waiting for them. Shrouded in pink wrapping paper in the parking lot by the large off-campus apartment building known as the Whites. When the two freshmen find Kaylee and unwrap her, their screams of delight echo several blocks away. At this point, the two younger girls are still caught up in the excitement and honor of being accepted into AFI. They don't yet know about the pressure that comes with being in the, quote, pretty girl's house. Darker times are just around the corner. Chapter 4, Greek Row, Moscow, Idaho, September 2020. I'm Zana, pronounced Zana, Xanax without the X, is how the petite brunette introduced herself to the Pi Fies on the first day, and everyone laughed. Her name is Zana Carnoodle, and she's as irrepressible as Tigger in the Winnie the Pooh books. Always smiling when I'm with my Zan, Maddie captions a pair of Instagram posts of the two of them together on September 11th. Maddie tells Kaye she's impressed with Zana because, despite her freshman status, she's not afraid of anyone or anything. Zana isn't much used to rules. She grew up in Post Falls, Idaho, pretty much without her mother, Kara, who had been battling drug addiction much of her life and gave up custody of Zana and her sister, Jasmine, in 2006. Zana adores her dad, Jeff, but he traveled frequently for work, so Zana and Jazzy were often left on their own, along with her best friend, Emily Allant, a pretty, feisty blonde from Boise, and a fellow new Pythie. Zana regularly busts out of the house at night and on the weekends, even though they've both been told to stay inside and stay sober. One evening, Maddie introduces Zana and Emily to a group of Sigma Chi brothers, and she's surprised and amused to discover the two new girls had already met them on an illicit night out. That was pretty cool, actually, Maddie says to Kaye the next morning. The two are tiring of the enforced restrictions in this life they had once wanted so badly. At AFI, I have a worse deal than you do, Kaye tells Maddie, who is sympathetic. Under the stress of COVID restrictions, Kaye explains, the bitchiness for which the house is infamous is coming to the fore. AFI is turning into a nightmare version of Mean Girls. I hear you, says Maddie. We didn't sign up for this. They begin to discuss their options for living off campus. Kaye finds an apartment in the Whites. Maddie's got her eye on the house right next to it, 1122 King Road, where some older Pythies, like Sophia, her big, and Ashlyn, her best friend in the house, are planning to move. The house sticks up on the hill like a finger. It's got a deck in the back, so it will make a fantastic party space. Even better, Maddie tells Kaye it signifies freedom. It's going to be great, she says. Chapter 5, Moscow, Idaho, Valentine's Day, 2021. You forgot your wallet, Maddie asked Jake Shinger. Maddie is all dressed up, even though it's just breakfast. She's wearing jeans with an oversized beige sweater that falls artfully off her shoulders. It should be obvious to Jake that she's taking this seriously. It's Valentine's Day. She told Kaye it was a date. She told Zana and Emily it was a date. And they're all eager to hear how it goes. And Jake has forgotten his wallet. The guy sitting opposite her in this cute downtown Moscow cafe called the Breakfast Club is a junior in the Delta Chi Delta fraternity who has been hotly pursuing her. Pining for her is how some of her friends put it, for over a year. Maddie always has a lot of admirers, though Jake is handsome, nice, fun, and a great water skier. For some reason, she's always kept him at bay. Maddie has to give the guy credit, though. He's never given up. He's stuck around. He's grown on her. And she's thinking of relenting. Now he's stuck her with the bill. Maddie can already hear the girls shrieking with laughter. She knows they'll make fun of her. Sure enough, when she tells them, they think it's hilarious. That night, Emily posts a picture of Maddie, all made up, false lashes on, clearly ready to go out, on Snapchat. It's cheekily captioned, "Didn't even pay for the date." Still, the handsome upperclassman succeeds in winning Maddie's affections. Soon after Valentine's Day, Maddie commits to Jake. She stops seeing other guys, and from then on, they're a thing. Just over a year later, on April 27th, she'll post a throwback on Instagram of some of the couple's best times together, boating in Coeur d'Alene. at the Watershed Music Festival, hanging out at the school. Maddie captions the post, 1 year with my best friend. Life is so much sweeter with you in it. I love you lots and lots. At Jake. Jake will soon be graduating and moving to Boise for a job. Maddie wants to move there too, get a summer job, and be with him. Why? Because Jake, she's decided, is her future. Chapter 6, Moscow, Idaho, fall 2021. Family breakfast is Kaylee's conscious effort to maintain her bonds with her 4 best friends from AFI, Ava, Zoe, Katie, and Phoebe. Kaylee is cooking. Sorry, guys, I just saw like an editing mistake. It always trips me out. Okay. Kaylee is cooking in the little kitchen in her off-campus apartment at the Whites. The pan is sizzling as the pancakes she's making turn golden brown. They look and smell delicious. She whips out her phone so she can document the moment with an Instagram post. Helping Kaylee out in the kitchen is her boyfriend since middle school, Jack Decor. Like Maddie, he came to UI mostly because he wanted to be with Kaylee. Jack is living off campus in a house close to Kaylee with a bunch of his Beta Theta Phi Pi fraternity brothers. He and Kaylee go to the games together. They share custody of a golden doodle, Murphy. She even includes Jack in her AFI Instagram post. He's family. Everyone loves Jack. An Idaho all-state tennis player, he has strawberry blonde hair and freckles. In photos, he bears more than a passing resemblance to the Harry Potter character Ron Weasley. But in real life, he is considered considerably more handsome. Jack is as quiet and calm as Kaylee is effervescent. He is a rock for Kaylee as long as she wants one. And to be sure, her family and friends have always had the impression that Kaylee decides the tempo and terms of the relationship. Recently, though, there have been small signs of trouble in paradise. Kaylee's been feeling an itch to do things on her own, not because she wants to part from Jack, but because she likes being independent. Jack, I need 5 hours to get ready, Kaylee will tell him as she sits down at her vanity. That means he needs to go away. And he does. Kaylee has a lot on her mind now that she's finally won her freedom and is living off campus. She wants to travel, to experience the world, to learn what it's like, to learn what's out there beyond Coeur d'Alene. And she wants to make money. COVID helped expand her professional network online, and she's made connections at Extreme Networks, an IT firm in Austin, Texas, doing work she's interested in pursuing full-time. Her dad and her brother are in IT, so it's in the blood. The job would require a big move and probably leaving Jack behind. If Jack is serious about her, he might have to play the long game and wait. Which is what he's doing now as she flips pancake after pancake and piles them into a stack. Almost ready? Jack asks her. Kaylee pours more batter into the sizzling pan. It'll be a little while. Chapter 7, Moscow, Idaho, August 2021. Tomorrow is bid day, and Ethan Chapin and his brother Hunter have options. In the freshman dorms, Ethan, all 6'4" of him, turns on the shower, stands under the torrent of hot water, and closes the stall door. He wants a moment of privacy. He wants a moment to mull over the choice he's facing. The Chapin triplets grew up in Mount Vernon, Washington, 2 hours north of Seattle, and they seem to have it all. Looks, height, smarts, athletic ability, likability. Ethan is a superb athlete. He played varsity basketball. Hunter was right there with him, but always one step behind, sometimes on the bench. Their blonde sister, Maisie, played varsity soccer. All three of them are first rate golfers, and all three of them are as tight as can be. They've shared rooms and meals since they were born. Before even. During her pregnancy, Stacy Chapin, their mom, used to joke that Hunter, who was born last, was on the top in the quote penthouse. It's unsaid but understood that whatever choice Ethan makes, Hunter will follow. That's the dynamic of their relationship. Always has been. So Ethan is thinking pretty hard about what his decision will be, knowing it affects them both. The obvious choice is Sigma Chi. It's a fraternity for athletes who have smarts. And yet he's leaning toward Pi Delta Theta, which is, by reputation, a dry house, but it's also known as a stoner gamer house. Not Ethan's thing, but an older Delt who has been persuasive. Over several meetings during Rush, Hunter Johnson, who is doing a master's in athletic training, has made an understated yet confident case for Phi Delta Theta by demonstrating qualities that Ethan admires in a brother. Ethan gets out of the shower, still lost in thought. A door bangs open. He looks up. Emerging from the next shower stall is another freshman, Tim DeWolf, a blonde hunk of a varsity basketball and soccer player from Odessa, Washington, a small farming community. DeWolf, who is also 6'4", excludes masculinity. Hey, Tim, Ethan says, what house are you going into? Tim looks at Ethan like he's stupid. Duh, Sigma Chi. Sigma Chi, he says. It's a natural fit for athletic dudes like them. Oh, Ethan says. Well, I was thinking of Pi Delta Theta because of Hunter Johnson. Hunter Johnson, Ethan feels, has a unique sort of soulful charm. He's a talented guitar player. He's slender, yet athletic, but also goofy. But Tim DeWolf is it. Ethan pauses, then says, but if you're going to Sigma Chi, then I'm going to Sigma Chi. And with that, the angst is over. The decision is made. Chapter 8, Moscow, Idaho, October 3rd, 2021. The doorbell rings at 1118 King Road. The rectangular house with huge windows, a design that inspired the building's nickname, Shark Tank, sits just off campus. The place might as well be called Party Central because just a few weeks into the fall semester, its 5 occupants, especially Zana and Emily, have become known for hosting the best and most frequent parties at UI. That Sunday morning, a bunch of freshmen Sigma Chi brothers are standing there, summoned to get to know the Shark Tank women by playing a game called Champagne Shackles. Come on in, says Zana. She and Emily grin. They've got the bottles of bubbly ready. And the zip ties. The rules of the game are simple. The ties go around the wrists of a pair. A man and a woman who have to stay tied together until their bottle of champagne is finished. Even when going to the restroom. The tall, dark Chapin brothers, Ethan and Hunter, are easy to spot among the crowd of Sig Chi freshmen. I don't know how I keep messing this up after almost 3 years. One of Zana and Emily's housemates, Josie, a pretty brunette from Boise, immediately calls dibs on both of them. Zana cracks up. Josie, can you even tell them apart? She asks. Excitement builds as they all whip out their phones to take the most embarrassing photos possible for social media. That's part of the fun of this. It's almost the point. Zana has on an eclectic outfit, a psychedelic sun hat that is a mix of bright pinks, purples, and yellows, a yellow bustier, and black jeans. She's in her element, giggling as Emily photographs her sitting on the toilet while the guy she's shackled to, Peter, is stuck on the floor by her side. Sitting in the living room, practically immobilized by the ties for hours, Ethan can't help but notice Xana's effortless magnetism. Zana is the one running the music, DJ Zan. Her housemates yell as she changes songs. She's the one in charge of the shambolic dancing and making sure everyone has drinks. Zana is the focal point of the party, though she doesn't seem to notice the attention. When the game's over and the day's finally winding down, Ethan asks Zana about herself. He discovers that Zana is just Zana. She has no big plans, no idea what her future is. She's in the present. She makes no apologies for this. She's the most real person he's ever met. He's hooked. In the next few days and weeks, he often finds himself making the few 100-yard trek from Sigma Chi to the Shark Tank. He and Hunter regularly hoist their massive stereo on their broad shoulders and carry it across the lower 40, as the field is called, so DJ Zan can play whatever she wants. In the midst of all the music, the dancing, the talking, he notices that Zana gets some work done by passing her assignment book around and insisting each person take a stab at writing a paragraph. Her spirit is infectious. He's so smitten he asks Zana to become his big. According to the esoteric fraternity rules, there can be brothers and sisters in different houses, though dating your Greek sibling is considered sort of incestuous. But Zana has never cared about the rules. In early 2022, it starts to become unclear as to when Ethan arrives and when Ethan leaves 1118 King Road. Does he actually go home at night, or does he sleep over in Xana's room? Anything going on I should know about? Emily asked Zana one morning. Zana shakes her head. She'll speak only when she's 100% sure what she wants to say. Chapter 9, Boise, Idaho, April 2022. It's nearly midnight when Karen wakes to the ringing on her phone. The caller ID says it's Zana. Karen's blood runs cold, as any mother's would. Is Zana okay? Is her daughter Emily okay? She picks up panicked. Mama Karen, guess what? Says Zana casually, as if the late hour was completely irrelevant. Zana, you scared me half to death. Do you know what time it is? Karen asks. Zana just laughs. Karen relaxes in spite of herself. How distinct and rich and simply full of joy Xana's laugh is. I want you to be the first to know I've got a boyfriend. Karen giggles at the needlessness of this conversation. It's been obvious to everyone that Zana and Ethan are on the cusp of something, but she plays the game. How did the talk go? Did you guys sit down and discuss it seriously? Zana spills the details. No, it was easy. We didn't need a big talk. It just happened naturally. Zana is a free spirit. Karen sees a relationship as a sign she's growing up. In fact, all the Shark Tank girls are growing up, forming committed attachments. Emily has begun to date Hunter Johnson. Josie is seeing another Delt, Lyndon Beck. Karen is thrilled that Zana feels able to share this moment with her. She's developed strong maternal feelings toward this exuberant, effervescent young woman who is so passionate, so resilient, so unself pitying despite a difficult upbringing. Zana doesn't talk much about having grown up without a mother, but the signs of loneliness are there for them all to see. Emily could sense that Xana's home life wasn't exactly the most ordinary. Sometimes Xana drives over to Pullman, where her older sister Jasmine, Jazzy, is studying marketing at Washington State. Jazzy, petite and pretty, is the quote sensible one. Xana idolizes her big sister and wants to follow in her footsteps. Jazzy also has nice stuff. So when Xana and Emily visit her in her dorm room, Emily knows she's supposed to chat with Jazzy to distract her while Xana flitches a shirt or whatever she needs from her sister's closet. In the Pythie house, Xana has mismatched bedding, few clothes. Emily teaches Xana how to do her makeup, how to use a curling iron, skills that the other girls learned years ago, but that no one has ever taught Xana. Before their first Christmas break, Emily noticed that Xana was the only one not packing. Xana, she said, where are you going for winter break? Xana shrugged, and she said she didn't know. Her dad, Jeff, might not be home. She didn't know his new girlfriend, and she didn't much like her room in the basement. That first Christmas, Emily invited her home to Boise to hang with their parents. Matt, an Army veteran, and Karen, a pretty blonde who was a dead ringer for her daughter. At first, the Allants didn't know what to make of this free-spirited young woman their daughter had brought home. But Xana, with her expressive hand movements, her open personality, had a talent for winning people over, making everyone laugh. Now Xana regularly stays with the Allants during breaks. Karen looks forward to their 11 p.m. phone calls. She comes to visit the girls in the Shark Tank and goes out with them sometimes. Karen starts to consider Xana a second daughter. After Xana hangs up with Karen, she finds Emily and gives her the news. You told my mom first? You bitch, Emily says with a laugh, then gives Xana a hug. Chapter 10, Priest Lake, Idaho, summer 2022. It's 4 p.m. and Ethan Chapin is finishing his shift as a server at the Hills Resort restaurant, nestled on beautiful Priest Lake up in the Idaho mountains. The sparkling water with its snow-crested surroundings got its name from the Jesuit missionaries who once lived near there. The Chapins had two homes, one in Mount Vernon near Seattle and a summer house on Priest Lake. His mom came here as a little girl, and he and his family have been coming here all his life. There's nowhere Ethan would rather be. He yells to Hunter, and the two head to his favorite place within his favorite place, the resort's sand volleyball court, right on the shore, in front of the resort's bar and restaurant. The community is tight. No one locks their doors. People call one another by their first names. Ethan knocks on the door of cabin 101, which belongs to the Xylek family. It's a running joke that the Xyleks are uber competitive. Ethan's ideal matchup is a 6 Xylek kids versus everyone else. Whatever the numbers, he finds a way to make a game of it. Once on the volleyball court, he strips off his shirt and takes his position. He and Hunter hit the ball back and forth over the net, while a little crowd, including their parents, Jim and Stacy, and this summer, Xana, gathers to watch the magnificent sight of Ethan in full athlete mode. He jumps, he sets, he dives, he spikes, a mythic Greek god in action. Ethan made varsity basketball as a high school freshman, but COVID restrictions deprived him of crucial competitive seasons that would have prepped him to play at the college level. Over the summer, the Chapin triplets worked at Hills Resort, which was full to bursting with people wanting a rural escape. This time together made the trio realize that they wanted to attend the same college, and they needed it to be east of the mountains. And they wanted to be involved in Greek life, to keep the small family feeling that they were used to keep the small family feeling that they were used to at home. UI was an easy decision. WSU felt vast when they visited. By comparison, Greek Row at UI felt so small and bucolic. It was like a private school. Their mom, Stacy, a former school principal and Greek life alum at the University of Puget Sound, was relieved that her children would experience the safety net and type of community that had been such a welcome part of her own college years. Now, as Stacy watches her son leap around the volleyball court, she's filled with pride. UI has been exactly the nurturing place she wanted for them. They're thriving. Her husband, Jim, who believes Stacy's judgment is consistently rock solid, agrees. After the game, Jim, Stacy, Hunter, Maisie, Ethan, and Zana sprint to the boat Jim recently bought to satisfy his kids' love of the water. They turn the music up high, blasting out Morgan Wallen's latest album. And Jim drives the boat while the kids take turns wakeboarding and sipping drinks from the cooler. Ethan and Hunter love boarding so much that early every morning they stuff their work clothes into their backpacks and go out on the water, coming back with only 5 minutes to spare before their shifts. Jim drops them back at the dock, and they sprint barefoot to their posts. This summer, Ethan has been inseparable from Zana, who's been staying with the Chapins most of the time. Stacy can see immediately that her son is serious about this carefree young woman. The Chapins happily welcome her as one of their own. Changes are ahead for the upcoming fall semester. Zana is moving from the Shark Tank into a rental house on King Road. Stacy and Jim have rented Ethan an apartment in Moscow. The Sigma Chi president told Ethan that frat brothers who are double deficient, that is, with a GPA below 2.75 for 2 consecutive semesters, have to live outside the house. Stacy's only concern about her oldest triplet is how far his grades have slipped. Though she suspects Ethan will stay most nights with Zana, she knows that the forced separation from his fraternity brothers will motivate him to raise his grades high enough to return to the Sigma Chi house. In the boat, the wind whips up and the sun slowly starts to redden and sink low into the horizon. Jim turns the boat toward the shore. Ethan turns on the volume 1 notch higher, and they head home listening to Morgan Wallen's Heartless. If this isn't paradise, Stacy thinks, then what is? Chapter 11, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, July 31st, 2022. The room is spinning like it often does when Zana has had one too many White Claws, which she has today out on the lake. She falls flat on her face, feels the pain immediately. She looks in the mirror. She's chipped her front tooth. Damn. She turns to Emily. She's upset. And not because it's going to cost money to fix the tooth. I don't want to be this person anymore, she tells her understanding friend. Zana is well aware of her reputation as a free-spirited girl in their core friend group. Zana and Ethan, Emily, Hunter Johnson, Josie, Lyndon, Peter Elgoria, and Ethan's triplet siblings, Hunter and Maisie. But she wants to change that. Zana wants to grow up. She wants to be someone who fits into the world of Ethan and his parents. The Chapin family is fun, easygoing, But as Zana has seen, their life is different from her hardscrabble existence in her dad's basement. At Priest Lake, the Chapins all play golf on the local course. Xana's never played golf, but the Chapin triplets are really good. They love it, like they love all sports. When Xana first joined them on the course, she found that hitting a golf ball was harder than it looked. Out of mockery for their passion, she threw a club, then took a swig of her drink. Everyone laughed. As Karen along, Mama Karen has noticed, Xana is someone who's prepared to make a total fool of herself in public if that will put someone else at ease. But Xana doesn't want to be the butt of everyone's jokes forever. She never thought about the future before, but now she does. She wants to become a person who is taken more seriously. And she wants to grow old with Ethan. Chapter 12, Moscow, Idaho, June 2022. Why is this July 31st, 2022 in chapter 11? And why are we... Okay, so we're going back in time, I guess. Welcome to it. Okay, so June 2022. Maddie can hardly believe it when Kaye walks through from the door of 1122 King Road. She's pulled it off. Their freshman year bid day, when the best friends were accepted by different sororities, feels like a distant dream. Here they are in their senior year, finally getting to live together. The timing couldn't be more perfect. Maddie walks to the car and starts helping Kaye unload boxes and boxes of her stuff. Everyone knows that Kaye doesn't travel light. She hauls a bag through the sliding glass doors at the back and into her new room. Everyone also knows which room is Maddie's. She's put the letters of her name in the window, and her signature pink cowboy boots sit on the sill. Maddie's vanity is just behind. When it's dark and her lights are on, anyone walking by can see her putting on her mascara. Maddie took over the King Road lease from graduating Pi Fees, and she's pulled together a great group. Her family away from family, perfect for a year of transition, which is what's going to be. Jake graduated and is back home in Boise, but their plan is to make it through this year together, long distance. They speak every night at 8. Maddie has been meticulous about keeping the appointment a source of amusement for her new roommates, who are all now moved in. Zana has taken a room on the main level. Of course, Maddie invited Emily too, because Zana and Emily are almost as inseparable as Zana and Ethan. But Emily had already made plans to room with Josie, her childhood friend from Boise, next door at the Whites. The building where her boyfriend Hunter Johnson has also rented an apartment. So 1122 King Road. Another 2 rooms went to 2 blonde Pi sophomores who finagled a way to move out of the sorority house. Dylan Mortensen, who is Emily's little, and Bethany Funk, Maddie's little. Maddie bangs on each of their doors. Zana, Dylan, Bethany, she yells, photo time. They groan, but accept their fate, and the 5 women and their skimpy summery dresses gather at the King Road deck. Maddie hands Ethan the camera. They pose, squinting into the afternoon sun. Dylan, Zana, Bethany, Kaye, Maddie. Meet the roommates. Maddie captions the photo, and she makes the most public. And she makes the post public, as she always does. She doesn't think of any risks associated with that. Why would she? The more followers you have, the better for your career in marketing. Maddie's life in this moment, here and now, is pretty much perfect and going exactly where she wants it to. Chapter 13, Moscow, Idaho, Emily's Dream. The following scene, a reoccurring nightmare, is what Emily later says. after she's lost her friends, before justice has brought closure. She imagines could have happened that summer. The details of the surroundings change from dream to dream, but the gist of what happens stays the same. It's the only explanation she can come up with, the only one that makes any sense. It haunts her day and night because the uncertainty of whether it's real or not real will never go away. So this is the dream, I guess, right? Maddie wipes down the table and turns to get fresh cutlery to seat the new customers. As jobs go, waitressing at the Mad Greek is a pretty good gig. The 40-seat restaurant with a vegan-friendly menu isn't one of the more popular ones in Moscow, so servers, as college kids' friends, don't get run off their feet. Maddie's grateful for the pay. She can make as much as $80 per shift, which covers her gas and her Alta card, and the trendy clothes she likes so much. And there's the added bonus that the manager asks her to redo the restaurant's website. Maddie continues laying the table. Then she turns and notices him. Unusual looking, intense, bulging eyes. Thin, almost emaciated, and pale, almost ghost white. He's raising his hand. He wants her attention. She smooths her skirt and walks over with a smile. He orders a vegan pizza to go. He's staring at her intently. Maddie is used to male attention, but this time it feels uncomfortable. I'm Brian, he says. What's your name? Maddie hesitates, then tells him, why wouldn't she? Everyone here knows it. She hands him the check and, as he pays, he asks, would you like to go out sometime? This is an easy one, Maddie thinks. The idea of going out with this strange-looking guy is surreal. He doesn't know it took Jake, her boyfriend, a whole 2 years to become her boyfriend. Maddie is anything but easy, even for guys she likes. And she doesn't know or like this one. She flicks back her hair. No, she says, smiles, laughs a bit. It's a nervous habit she has, especially with guys she turns down. She doesn't mean anything rude by it. But this guy looks at her strangely, like he doesn't believe what he's hearing. He gets up slowly, still staring at her, and walks out. Maddie shakes her head and goes about her business. She doesn't give the guy another thought. She doesn't see the guy walk to his car, a white Honda Elantra, sit in the driver's seat, and type her name into his phone. Her Instagram, with the photos of her past and present, is there for all to see. Maddie in a bikini, Maddie with her roommate, Maddie and her friends posing in skimpy clothes for a fit check before a night out. Maddie, Maddie, Maddie. He looks, he presses like once, twice, 3 times. And he looks and likes some more. Chapter 14, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, September 2022. Kaye stares at the guy on the couch incredulously. Did he really say that? Bitch, go make me a quesadilla. Wow. She wishes that she weren't at his house on this awful date. She wishes that she hadn't broken up with Sweet Jack. Maybe she'd been too hasty. Kaye has erased him from nearly all of her social media posts. Normal protocol when couples break up. But now she's wondering if Jack might be the nicest guy on the planet. And if most other guys are assholes like this one in front of her. Jack would never have used the B word. She'll later tell her older sister, Olivia. Never. He couldn't even be mean or distant after she broke up with him. If he felt any pain or animosity, he didn't show it. He's just kind, sweet, gentle. He still swings by the King Roadhouse every few days to pick up Murphy, their golden doodle. She texts him about Murphy, telling him she's coming over with the dog or she needs him to come get their pet. But she's never sure if she's reaching out for Murphy or for herself. The truth of it is, Kaylee still loves Jack. She didn't want to hurt him. She didn't even want to part from him. She just wanted a chance to cover She just wanted a chance to discover herself, to break ties before leaving for a new town in a new state. Kaylee's internship with Extreme Networks, the IT company in Austin, has turned into a full-time job that she now squeezes around her classes. In January, she's headed to Texas to work there on site. She's rightfully proud of her role as a channel manager, which means she comes in after the IT equipment has been sold to a business and explains to the customer how best to use it. She's particularly proud of a winning pitch she made to Coffee Box about where to install Wi-Fi in their stores so customers can easily order on their phones while standing in line. She made a 10-minute video, and despite her lack of experience, the video was singled out by her bosses and sent company-wide. Kaylee keeps impressing me, Paul Simek, the head of sales for the Americas, emailed the executive team, and he included a link to the video presentation Kaylee had made and worked her ass off to get right. Every morning this summer, she's had a preparatory remote session with Olivia, a project manager who lives in LA and buys real estate with an eye to renting the properties out to Airbnb. Olivia is wicked smart and she's talented with tech. And after Kaylee goes back and forth with Olivia, she checks the lingo with her dad, Steve, whose entire career has been in IT support. So now she looks at the jerk in front of her who just called her a bitch and told her to make him a quesadilla. No one pushes Kaylee around like that, especially not a guy in a state she's leaving. Kaylee is an independent woman. She makes good money from Extreme Networks and from her tips at La Casa Lopez, a Mexican joint in Moscow. And she spends her own money, $300 a week, on the gym and meal plans. She knows she's looking her best right now. Kaylee doesn't like this guy. She doesn't need any guy, except maybe Jack, who she's going to phone when she gets home. She's going to phone Olivia too and tell her that. She looks at this dude one more time. What a prick. You can make your own quesadillas. She gets up, she grabs her purse, and she walks out. On the drive home, she looks forward to the weekend back on campus and reenacting this scene for her new roomies. She can already see Zana roaring with laughter and Maddie wildly throwing her hands in the air. Yes, she thinks, they will have plenty to say about it when she tells them. Kaylee, they'll cry, pretending to be exasperated. Why is there always so much drama around you? Chapter 15, Moscow, Idaho, September 1st, 2022. Zana is waiting in her dark blue Honda for Karen, Emily's mom, at a little airstrip that is the Pullman Moscow Regional Airport. She's excited. She wants to show off her progress to the woman she considers the mom she never had. It's just a 10-minute trip to Xana's new place. Zana shows Karen her room on the main level of 1122 King Road. Karen admires the bedding, which now matches. Zana says she saved money this summer and opened a bank account, something Emily joked she'd never do. And Maddie At Maddie's suggestion, she joined the staff at the Mad Greek and makes $80 or so a shift. She shows Karen the wall mirror she bought with some of her earnings. Karen is proud of Zana, who is beaming. She tells Karen she loves her new roomies. But it's a bittersweet moment because for the first time in 3 years, Emily is living separately from Zana, albeit not too far away, just across the street from where Emily is rooming with Josie the White. Zana still sees Emily every day, and Karen heads over there now. Later that evening, Zana and Ethan drop by Emily's apartment, as they always do after a long day, to decompress and gossip. Karen is in her PJs. She recalled. Ethan sits down on the corner of Emily's sectional couch, and instead of sitting on the couch, Zana sits on top of him. She snuggles, and she's happy, and she's telling us all about her day and what they did, and da-da-da-da-da. Who said this? Everything. Karen couldn't look away from the comic visual of the effervescent, gesticulating woman sitting on top of her patient boyfriend. It was like a sketch out of Saturday Night Live. Karen said, "Finally," he says. "Geez, woman, stop wiggling." And she just throws her head back and laughs like she normally does, and she just goes on. Doesn't even miss the beat. It doesn't even faze her at all. She just keeps wiggling and talking. She laughs at him, and he just laughs back, and he just continues to let her sit there and wiggle all over him, even though he's so uncomfortable, obviously. But he's so patient with her, and he adores her. The bottom line was clear, not just to Karen, but to Emily. Hunter Johnson, Josie, and Lyndon, all of whom were assembled in the room that night. Ethan would rather have Zana wiggling on his lap than be sitting anywhere else. Chapter 16. Moscow, Idaho, October 27, 2022. After the roommates have a rare dinner at home together, Kaylee brings them into the living room. "It's time," says Kaylee, "to memorialize our group in a house on TikTok. Their house on 1122 King Road has become, on their watch, a UI fixture. It might not surpass the Shark Tank's legendary reputation as a party house, but it's still a place where people want to come, relax, have a drink, usually a shot offered by Zana and Ethan, and kick back. The view through the sliding doors is perfect for stargazing. You can stare at the trees and down the winding road for an ever-present reminder that there's another world called reality beyond the college bubble. In just a few weeks, Kaylee will graduate and leave to begin her new journey in the real world. In anticipation of Thanksgiving, when Olivia will be back, she's spending most of her time in Rathdrum and taking many of her classes remotely. They come up with a commemorative screenplay. The roommates pretending to be each other. It's like charades with clues drawn from invented scenes that highlight each friend's character. "Ready? Go," says Kaylee. First up is Maddie, pretending to be Kaylee. She stomps up the stairs and complains of a, quote, "dink smell." "Murphy, you've been a bad boy." She pretends to chastise the dog for pooping indoors. Next is Zana pretending to be Dylan. She comes out of her room, backpack on, flustered. "Fuck, it's 9:10. Guys, can anyone drive me to class? I'm fucking late for my meeting. I was supposed to be there 10 minutes ago." Next, Kaylee pretends to be Zana. She anxiously grabs a broom and starts to sweep frantically. "Did anyone do their chores today?" She doesn't wait for the answer. "I'm just going to do it." Next up is Bethany, pretending to be Maddie. "Shit, you guys, it's 8. Gotta go, Jake's calling." She stands up from the couch where they're all sitting and heads for the door, repeating, "Jake's calling." Next up is Josie, standing in for Dylan, pretending to be Bethany. She looks at a photo of herself on the phone and grimaces. "Oh my God, you look horrid." Zana is now Dylan. She cuddles up to Murphy before realizing the dog smells rank. "Oh my God, Murphy, you are so cute." And then putting the dog down, she exclaims, "Oh my God, you've got to get out of here. You've seriously got to get out of here." Now Bethany is Kaylee. She reads a text in front of the group. "Hey guys, I know I talk about myself a lot, but seriously, what would you guys do in my situation?" Now Maddie is Zana, headed downstairs. "I've got to go do tests," she says. "I failed 2 of them already." And now Maddie is Bethany. "Is anyone doing a wine night? Let's just do a wine night." Dylan being Zana. "Dude, is it okay if I throw a party? Just 3 or 4 people? At most." They do several takes and several edits before declaring themselves happy with the video that Kaylee then posts. Whatever happens in the future, she'll always have this to hold on to. This picture of this house and the 5 of them in it. Chapter 17, Moscow, Idaho, November 5th, 2022. The week after the Chapin triplets celebrate their 20th birthday, it's family weekend at the University of Idaho. Stacy and Jim Chapin are in Moscow buying their kids mimosas for breakfast. The 3 are still as close as they were growing up. Zana is excited for them to meet her dad, Jeff, who lives in Arizona but is putting in an appearance. Stacy can see how happy Ethan is with Zana. Stacy can also see the signs that their kids are becoming independent adults. When the weekend is over, as Stacy and Jim drive away from campus, Stacy shares a realization with her husband. The Chapin triplets are maturing into giving, thoughtful people, and it's clear that they're almost ready to lead their own lives. For parents, this is a milestone, a bittersweet turning point that all parents hope and dread they'll face. Our job is done, Stacy thinks. Then she says it out loud. Our job is done. She and Jim look at each other. They grin. They high-five in the car. Our job is done. Chapter 18, Moscow, Idaho. Friday, November 11th, 2022. The residents of 1122 King Road start pre-gaming at around noon for the Pi Phi formal. They have no intention of going to the official formal. That would entail a bus ride and staying sober beforehand in the sorority house. The older girls who officially left Pi Phi the year before wouldn't even be allowed in. The youngest 2, Dylan and Bethany, prematurely left the house to live off campus and are loyal to Maddie, Zana, and Emily, so they won't receive a warm welcome. It's picture time. They use a white shower curtain as a high contrast backdrop for their LBDs, little black dresses. Though Zana, who likes to be different, has donned a little red dress. Maddie poses for a photo with Dylan, then Kaylee poses with Dylan. They post both photos on Instagram. The usual gang comes over. Emily, Josie, the Chapin brothers, Peter, Lyndon. Maisie pops in, but not Hunter Johnson. He's working over at the high school. Drinks are poured, more pictures are taken. 6 p.m. They're all feeling particularly festive because tomorrow is game day. The UI football team is playing UC Davis. Out on the back deck, Maddie films a video of the Chapin brothers, Emily and Zana, shotgunning their drinks. She closes with a cameo of herself pretending to look ladylike and shocked. It's funny. The group is well on their way to getting drunk. Though the Vandals hardly ever win, game days in Moscow are local celebrations regardless of the score. Everyone flocks to the Kibbe Dome. Everyone. Chief Fry is always there. So is the mayor, Art Vetch. Parents with camper trailers host tailgating parties for the kids in the stadium parking lot. Tomorrow's weather forecast is bad, and the group has no access to a trailer tailgate. So the 1122 King Road roommates plan to party on campus instead of outside the stadium. Nonetheless, it's going to be fun. They take another swig of their drinks. Cheers to that. Saturday, November 12th, 2022, 8 a.m. Emily wakes up early and gets to the dome by 8:30. She works part-time assisting UI football recruiting, which means she helps set up the stadium so that coaches can meet with visiting parents and officials and unofficial recruits. She's annoyed to be separated from her friends. She keeps getting updates on their activities and group chats. Zana is rallying the troops on campus. 11:30 a.m. Zana summons people urgently to King Road. Get over here, she texts Josie a dozen times. Zana puts her hair in 2 braids because Emily's not there to help her style it, and her roommates are busy getting ready. Everyone at UI knows it's essential to look good on game day. The 1122 King Road roommates take their time getting ready. They stick to tradition and drink champagne while they apply their makeup. Sexy casual is the unwritten dress code. By noon, everyone's gathered at the King Road house. Kaylee, Maddie, Zana, Ethan, Dylan, Bethany, Hunter Chapin, Josie, Lyndon, Peter, and Hunter Johnson. 1 p.m. They move the party over to the Whites, where Emily and Josie's rooms are and where the Afies have an apartment. 2 p.m. Zana tugs at Ethan's hand and tells him to come outside. Obviously, the residents of 1122 King Road want a roommate photo. They ask Hunter Johnson to take it. First, they arrange themselves for an all-girl photograph. Kaylee removes her Idaho sweatshirt from a sexier bare midriff look. Coquettishly, she kicks her left foot behind her. The members of the group look at her. Dylan, who has her back toward the wall of the Whites, is on one side. And the other, Bethany, Maddie, Zana, hug sideways, lined up tightly. Hunter clicks away 15 times. Higher? Lower? He asks. Kaylee checks, finds a decent one, and posts it to her Instagram. Now they need Hunter to take a photo with Ethan in it. The girls joke that the picture is incomplete without their honorary roommate. Landscape or vertical? Hunter Johnson asks. The answer is easy. Vertical. Kaylee, now in her sweatshirt, squats down so Maddie can climb onto her shoulders. They can fit better in the frame this way, next to gentle giant Ethan. Dylan is on the left, Bethany on the right. Between them, Kaylee, with Maddie hoisted high, and Ethan, who as usual has his arms around Zana. Hunter takes 15 shots on Kaylee's phone and hands it back to her. She texts her favorite to the group. Emily smiles when she sees it. She misses her friends already. She and Zana have hardly spent a day apart in 2 years. Kaylee forwards the photo to her mom, Christy, and to Karen Laramie, Maddie's mom. 3 p.m. The group returns to the Afie apartment where Hunter Johnson, Ethan, and Zana are watching Auburn versus Alabama, a college game they find considerably better than the one they had at Kibbe Dome. Hunter Johnson tells Zana and Ethan his sad news. He'll be leaving them at the end of the semester. As part of his graduate degree, he needs to intern in either Boise or Post Falls. But you'll come visit? Zana asks. Bummer, says Ethan. He tells Hunter to think of it not as goodbye, but as a temporary separation. 4 p.m. Maybe because he's distracted, Hunter Johnson puts his phone down and forgets about it. Maddie and Dylan eye it and decide to have some fun. They pose up a storm and take dozens of selfies, imagining Hunter's surprise when he discovers them an hour or two later. 4:30 p.m. You want to come with me to the game? Hunter Johnson asks Ethan and Zana. He's going to meet Emily and bring her home when the game's over. Ethan pretends to be distressed. No one cares about the actual game, only the tailgating. I can't, he says, fake crying. I've got my sister's formal in a couple of hours. Asshole, says Hunter Johnson good-naturedly. He walks out of the room having no clue it's the last time he'll see Ethan alive. 7 p.m. It's Theta's formal at the local brewery. Maisie is taking Ethan. Hunter Chapin is going with Maisie's roommate. Stacy, their mom, is so happy that the triplets are all together for Maisie's formal. She asks them to send lots of photos. She wants a full recounting of the evening. 9 p.m. Once the formal is over, Maisie's brothers try to persuade her to keep partying with them. But Maisie's tired. She asks her brothers to drop her back at the sorority house. Jim Chapin has told his sons that they always need to see Maisie home safely. The job comes with a perk. The Theta fridge normally has some pretty good sandwiches in it, and the boys get to help themselves before continuing their Saturday night. 9:30 p.m. The Chapin brothers go to the Sigma Chi fraternity house on Nez Perce Drive, across a field from 1122 King Road. Zana is already there. 10 p.m. The fraternity party is in full swing. Ethan wants his friends to enjoy it with him. Where are you? Ethan texts Hunter Johnson and Emily. Emily is in bed asleep, exhausted after the day working at the football game. Hunter Johnson texts Ethan that he'll be over when she wakes up. He doesn't feel comfortable leaving her. Most unusually for a Saturday night, Josie and Lyndon are also home, asleep, at the Whites, in Josie's bedroom next to Emily's. It's been a hard 24 hours of partying. 11 p.m. Ethan thinks about who else of his group is missing from this Sig Chi party. His sister. You are so lame, he texts her. He hates being separated from her. Maisie doesn't see the text until the next day, when it's too late. Sunday, November 13th, 2022, 12 a.m. In downtown Moscow, Kaye and Maddie are together, jammed inside the Corner Club, a popular bar the size of a 3-car garage. The Corner Club is always packed, but on a game day, it's heaving. It might be a windowless box, but it's Moscow's windowless box. This is a small college town where people look out for one another. Mark Trivelpiece, the club's owner, keeps a careful eye on the customers. He's been in business too long to make rookie mistakes. Underage students like Dylan and Bethany won't pass the Moscow cops' strict protocols about IDs. A team of kids from Greek life work the bar, discreetly watching for anyone who's getting sloppy or might need help getting home. One of them is Adam Lotta, friend, fraternity brother, and roommate of Kaylee's ex, Jack. 1:20 a.m. The best friends have had enough. They're tired and hungry. More than a little inebriated. I told Adam everything, Maddie says of Kaylee's quandary with Jack. Kaylee throws up her hands, concerned that Maddie has overshared with Adam, the guy behind the bar. The friends swerve as they make an 8-minute walk to the main street where the grub truck is always parked. Food. They need food. 1:30 a.m. At the grub truck, Kaylee orders a carbonara mac and cheese for her and Maddie to share. They know the guy in the hoodie who's standing behind them, Jack Showalter. He's an occasional visitor to King Road. He's a good guy, they think. The girls flirt a little with him. Kaylee asks if he's interested in going to another party somewhere, but he's tired. Speaking of, so are they. It's been a long day. They need a ride home. Kaylee texts a designated sober driver. 1:50 a.m. Hunter Johnson texts Ethan to ask if he's still at the Kaye party. Emily is still asleep. 1:56 a.m. Kaylee and Maddie head back home to King Road. They chat in the living room. Dylan is in her room, wasted. Bethany is in her room, asleep. 2 a.m. Ethan responds to Hunter Johnson that he and Zana are still at Sig Kai. Approximately 2:15 a.m. Zana and Ethan return home. 2:15 a.m. Kaylee and Maddie chat on the couch a little longer and then go upstairs and collapse on Maddie's bed. Murphy, Kaylee's golden doodle, is in Kaylee's room. Kaylee often leaves him there when she's out. For the upteenth time, Kaylee tells her friend she's unsure what to do about her ex, Jack Decker. They start texting him. He lives only 3 doors down. Kaylee misses him. She wants him to come over. 2:26 a.m. Kaylee phones Jack. He's asleep and doesn't hear her call. She calls him a second time. She calls a third time, a fourth time, a fifth. 2:24 a.m. Kaylee calls Jack a 6th time. Then Maddie phones him 3 more times. He sleeps through all of them, blissfully unaware of the imminent danger. 2:52 a.m. Kaylee tries Jack one last time. 3 a.m. Emily wakes up at the Whites. So too do Josie and Lyndon. Josie realizes she's left her phone in her car. She goes to get it. It's foggy out. She thinks it's dark and quiet. When she comes back, Hunter Johnson gets up and locks the door to the apartment. He doesn't know why. He's never done that before. He and Emily go to sleep. No one thinks to text Ethan or Zana. They assume everyone is asleep. In fact, Zana is awake and scrolling on TikTok. She orders DoorDash from Jack in the Box in Pullman, the only place open at that hour. "4 a.m. Xana's food arrives. It ought to be the ordinary end of an ordinary game day. Except for Maddie, Kaylee, Ethan, and Zana, it isn't. 4:17 a.m. Dylan is in her bed, drifting in and out of a fitful post-game day sleep. The walls of her bedroom are so paper-thin that earlier Dylan could hear almost everything Maddie and Kaylee and Ethan and Zana were saying as they chatted on the couch in the living room. Next thing she hears is a familiar stomping as they go up the stairs. She can dimly hear music from one of their bedrooms. But then everything turns surreal. Not sure whether she's dreaming or awake. She thinks she hears someone frantically say, "There's someone here." Huh? That doesn't seem right. And yet, it also does, because so many people come in and out of 1122 King Road. She gets up and opens her door a crack. Nothing. Dylan goes back to bed, but then she hears someone crying. Is it Zana? She gets up again and opens her door a fraction of an inch. She hears a male voice say, "It's okay. I'm going to help you." There's a thud, and Murphy starts to bark. Dylan shuts her door again. Is she going crazy? Now there's silence again. She opens the door a third time. That's when she sees the firefighter, or at least bleary-eyed. That's what she thinks she's seen. He's got bushy eyebrows. He's wearing a mask. He's holding a firefighting object, a bit like a vacuum. They make eye contact for a split second. She shuts her door and looks around for her taser. The battery is dead. Bethany? She tries calling her friend downstairs. Nothing. But then, thank God, Bethany phones her back. Dylan tells her she thinks she saw someone in black, masked. Their call lasts less than a minute. Dylan then calls Zana. No reply. She calls Kaye. Nothing. She calls Bethany again. They speak for 41 seconds. Dylan is breathing heavily. She's terrified. Has she gone crazy? Is she hallucinating? Then Bethany phones Zana. She also gets no answer. Dylan tries Maddie. Nothing. Bethany phones Ethan. Nothing. At 4:22 a.m., Dylan texts Bethany the tragically obvious. No one is answering. And then, I'm really confused right now. She texts Kaye again. Kaye? What's going on? There is still no reply. On the lower level, Bethany switches to Snap and then back again to text message. She texts Dylan. Yeah, dude. WTF. Then Zana was wearing all black. It's a question, not a statement. Dylan replies to Bethany's text. To the former, I'm freaking out right now. And to the latter, no, it's like ski mask almost. Bethany writes back, shut the fuck up. Actually. Dylan's fingers trip on the keys as she types. Like he had something over his forehead and little mouth. There's no time to fix typos. Bethany, I'm not kidding. I'm so freaked out. Bethany, so am I. Dylan, phone is going to die. Fuck. Bethany tells her, come to my room. Run. Down here. It's 4:24 a.m. Can Dylan run? Is it safe? Dylan tries Ethan's cell once more. She and Bethany have another quick exchange. At 4:27 a.m., she tries Kaye again. Then Zana. Still nothing. Dylan makes a decision to run. She sprints to Bethany's room. The two friends cling to one another. They keep trying to reach the roommates. Bethany tries Maddie twice, then Kaye twice. Dylan texts Kaye. Bethany goes on Snap and Instagram looking for clues. Nothing, nothing, nothing. It's 4:37 a.m. Exhausted and terrified, the two girls pass out. Neither of them falls into a deep slumber. Bethany wakes at 7:30 a.m. and calls her parents, telling them both about the strange events and the night before. Maybe, she tells herself, Dylan just had a very bad dream. Dylan comes to around 8 a.m. and also tells herself she had a very bad dream after drinking too much. She immerses herself on Instagram for a couple of hours. The house seems quiet, calm. She agrees with Bethany. She must have hallucinated the whole thing. Around 10:23 a.m., when it should be time for others to start waking, Dylan texts Maddie, "Are you up?" There's no reply, but that's not abnormal. Dylan dozes off again. Over an hour later, she rouses and also texts Kaye, "Are you up?" Nothing. Now she's starting to panic again. Was it all not a dream? At 11:49 a.m., Dylan calls her classmate and Pifey's sister, Jenna McClure, and asks her to come over. Then she phones her big, Emily, who is at her apartment having breakfast with Josie, Hunter Johnson, and Lyndon. "Can you come over?" Dylan asks. "Something weird happened last night. I don't really know if I was dreaming or not, but I think there was a man here, and I'm really scared. Can you come check on the house? I texted Zana and the others, but no one's answering. I'm in the basement with Bethany." Emily laughs. Dylan can get really, really drunk. This is not the first time she's heard a story like this from her little. "Should I bring my pepper spray?" she asks. Emily gets up and goes looking for a sweatshirt, and when she comes back, she sees Hunter Johnson has already left the apartment. Hunter makes his way up the steps into the house. He heads up the stairs and sees Xana's bedroom door slightly ajar. Unusual. He opens it. He sees her lying in her as if she's fallen backward on the floor face up. There's blood everywhere. He takes in Ethan on the bed behind her facing toward the wall. Hunter's heart is about to explode. He doesn't go any further into the house. He turns around, goes downstairs, and says as calmly as he can to Dylan and Bethany, "Call 911 and stay outside." He takes a breath, goes back up the stairs, and heads to the kitchen across the hall from Xana's room. He opens a drawer and takes out a kitchen knife. He's terrified. He's about to re-enter Xana's room when he hears someone coming up the stairs. It's Emily. He stops her. "Emily, I don't think Xana's going to wake up," he tells his girlfriend as softly as he can. She doesn't understand, but something in his expression chills her, and she stands still, rooted to the spot. "I'm going in to take their pulses," he says, knowing already that he's too late. But he goes in anyway, and after he's done that, he checks the closets for any sign of the murderer. There is none. Emily has gone downstairs. He follows and waits for the cops in the living room. Hunter says nothing to Emily or to the others who are outside. He's trying to protect these innocents from both the sight and the reality, but he already knows a horrific truth. Zana and Ethan are dead. Hunter doesn't know if Kaye and Maddie are even in the house, but he fears the worst. The devil has been at 1122 King Road, and he has no idea why. So part 2 is the inception. I'm thinking we're going to stop for part 1 here, and I'm going to either do, let me put you back on the screen. I'm going to, where are we? Hi. I'm going to either do more reading today. I don't know if I am though, because my voice is usually good for like 2 hours and then it starts getting fried. Like I hate fry in voices. I don't know. But I might do it today. But if not, it'll be tomorrow morning. And I might do it a little earlier for those on the West Coast. I don't know if that's too early for you, but like for the East, it'll be, I might do it at like 8. But Thursday we have the hearing in front of Judge to get rid of the gag. So I won't be live on Thursday. So today or maybe tomorrow. You guys, thank you guys. Thanks for being here. Let me just make sure that I didn't miss anything. Gina P, thank you so much. I know I was like reading, so quietly Gigi, thank you so much. Carrie, thank you so much. Hello. Thank you so much. I didn't suck on a lollipop today. You guys, thank you all for being here. Hi Mama Mia. Hi Mystery Maverick. Thank you guys for being here. What do I think of the book so far? Okay. I feel like it was like hastily written. It's very rudimentary to me, but I shouldn't say that because I'm reading it. I have a link in my description if you want to buy it. It's an affiliate link. If you hit it, it goes to Amazon. You can buy it. And it's like it'll take you right there. It feels a little rudimentary to me. It feels a little bit, well, we'll see how it plays out. We'll see where we go from here, right? I don't know what to say about it. It reads like, so Howard Bloom writes really well. Like he uses really big words and like very descriptive words. And James Patterson, I've read his books before. He knows how to write. I want to say this. I guess I'll say it. It's almost like it's written for like a 10-year-old who's really interested in reading. So it's going to be it's going to be an easy read, which is good because it's kind of like something that if you know the case, if you don't know the case, you can get filled in really easily on things and and maybe just, I mean, it is, right? It is very, that's true. She's just a devil woman. I mean, that's true. The book sounds verbatim, the statements is not really different. Not so far. And it's a lot of it. There are interviews and we'll probably get some more. It's always going to be like this. This is the first of very many books that are going to be written about this case. I guesstimate when it starts leveling off, at the minimum, there's going to be about 4 books written a year about this case for the rest of however long books are going to be around in some form or another. And some of them will be pieces of complete fabrication and fiction. And some of them will have a little bit more insight or they'll come from someone who offers a different perspective. I'm interested. What I'm waiting on is in the Goncalves family, who's going to be the first to write the book. Will they give it to a friend and pretend that the friend is the one who's writing it? Or will they own it and be like, we're Christy or Steve or Olivia or whoever is writing it because it's from their perspective and they'll own that. And that's what I'm kind of, these books are going to happen. And I'm glad it's James Patterson because, like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I'm actually reading this. I don't know if I'm glad. But it'll be really interesting to read the rest of it and see. It'll be interesting. But there's going to be book deals, and obviously we know that the behavioral science unit from the FBI is going to want to interview Brian Koberger. There'll be things written about that. His former professor said if, he'll do an interview, she'd like to get in on that. I think it'll be interesting because she does know a lot of things that about his personality. I don't know. It's interesting to me. Like, everyone wants to pretend that, like, I'm a little frustrated with the pretending that now this isn't becoming some big, like, money maker to people. Like, it's frustrating to hear that, but yeah, I think to answer you, Mama Mia, it's kind of rudimentary. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe I'll change my mind by the end of it. I don't know. What do you guys think? You guys like it? So if I do it later on today, I will look for it. Like, you'll get a little notification. I won't do it straight off. I'll at least give an hour time. But definitely tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. Pacific time, and whatever, it's like the same as today, maybe an hour earlier, wherever you guys are. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope we get to learn a little bit more and decide if we believe it or we think that people were like exaggerating, or you know what I mean? Like, try to put yourself in this situation that you get to speak to somebody like James Patterson or Vicky Ward after not talking for a while about your friend or your family member or someone you love. I think the Chapins are being honest. I think for the most part, people are being honest. I don't know how much Patterson writes, like extra he writes. I don't know. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you guys so much. So I'll see you either later today or tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Okay. Bye. Love you guys. Thank you.